What's happening, y'all? Welcome to the show. First of all, I got to apologize to you guys. I no-showed you last week. It wasn't necessarily a no-show. I forgot to tell you guys the week before that there would be no show next week. Well, last week, just because I had a charity event I had to attend, the Otho Davis Foundation, and it was on a Tuesday night, and there was a conflict of time. So there was a lot going on. So I apologize for no showing you guys last week. But I'm here this week, and my goodness, the birds, y'all, 7 in a row. Flew out to LA and just dominated the Los Angeles Rams the other night. Make sure you guys are, subscribing. Make sure you comment. Hit that notification button as well on the Seth Joyner Show over on YouTube. We got some serious giveaways going on over on the pre and post game show as well. That's on the YouTube channel every Sunday, pre-game and post game. We got some jerseys. I still got a Brandon Graham jersey we're going to give away. Got an AJ Brown jersey we're going to give away. Starting every week from last week till the end of the season, we're going to be giving away a signed mini helmet and football to one lucky viewer each week. We're actually pulling those winners out of the YouTube chat. We got some tickets for the home game coming up against the Panthers. We're going to give those away next week, and just a lot of good stuff going on, man. So make sure you guys are staying on board of what's going on. Follow me over on social media for information on what to do there. I got Mike Quick coming on a little later on. We're going to chop it up a little bit, talk about the birds and what's going on with the offense, surprising what's going on with the defense. Shout out to Brandon Graham, my dude. It's just sad to see him playing the way that he's playing, and the season's abruptly over because of torn tricep injury, and he was on fire the other night in LA, and it's just sad to see that he's going to have to step out of the circle, so to speak. But the Eagles are going to have to try to figure it out. Sign a couple of guys to the practice squad, and we'll see what kind of contributions those guys can bring. Really, one of the reasons why I felt like at the trade deadline it was imperative that Howie do something. Not being able to foresee, BG going down, but I just think that, you can never have enough pass rushers. You can never have enough depth at the pass rushing position. You're rolling those guys in and out. You're one injury away from, things going sideways. You got Bryce Huff, who started to kind of come on a little bit. He's on IR now with a wrist injury, I believe. So, it kind of left the Eagles scrambling, and, they're going after some guys that have been released from other teams, and, you don't know how much they got in the tank, how motivated they are to come in and really be contributors. But, unfortunately for BG, it's the end of the season for him, but, as the saying goes, next man up, and sometimes, one man's demise is another man's opportunity. So it's a good opportunity for some other guys to kind of step up, throw their hat in the ring, and, show some production and be a part of something that seems to me to be very special right now. Just talking about, the Eagles offense and the way they dominated the other night. And there's a trend. The Eagles simply are not a first half team. They just cannot seem to get it going. They got a 21-yard field goal from Jake Elliott. Glad to see him back in form. But I think the Eagles have managed a total of 6 points in the entire first quarter of 11 games. That is just odd to me. But the thing is, I've been kind of keeping track of it, and I'll take you back over the last 3 games. Against the Cowboys, they came out in the second half. They went punt, touchdown, 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 right out the gate. Against the Commanders, they came out, they went field goal, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And last week against the Rams, they came out and went touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown. So clearly, they're a second half team. What that tells me, and it's a good signal, um, on the opposite side of not being able to be as productive offensively as they want to be in the first half, in the second half, in order for them to have that kind of productivity, that tells me that the coaching staff is making some massive changes and some massive adjustments along the way. And the NFL is an adjustment league. How's the team attacking you in the first half, in the first quarter, in the second quarter, in the third quarter, even into the fourth quarter, and what's your ability to be able to adjust under those circumstances and still put your offense in a situation where they can be productive, even as far as the defense is concerned. Defensively, we've played better in the second half than we have in the first half, and that's a matter of trying to figure out from a coordinator's perspective how teams are trying to attack you and what adjustments need to be made to take away those things that they're trying to hit you with. On the offensive side of the football, Saquon Barkley is just on a historic run. It is just phenomenal to watch this guy play. And, I would be remiss to talk about him if I didn't talk about, the offensive line across the board. Listen, I mean, everybody is just straight up balling. You got Mekhi Becton knocking people on their behind. You got Dickerson knocking people on their behind. You got the center, Cam Jurgens is knocking people on their behind. And, I wanted to do a whiteboard for you guys tonight because a couple of weeks ago, studying film, I ran across some blocking schemes put together by Jeff Stoutland that, quite frankly, I had never seen before. I mean, I forgot to bring the drawings with me, so I'll put them up and draw them up for you guys next week because I can't remember them off the top of my head. But they're exotic and they're unique. I've never seen an offensive line run a double trap, a trap on the right and a trap on the left. And some of these schemes, they confuse linebackers in a way where if I was playing, I wouldn't even know how to read it because the way they hand the ball off, Saquon Barkley or Kenneth Gainwell, who's been playing pretty well the last couple of weeks, in spot duty, they got a two-way go. I mean, they can hit the trap on the right, they can hit the trap on the left. And it's amazing to me because I've never seen a blocking scheme in all of my days of playing football and all of my days of studying football, analyzing football. I've never seen schemes like this. And they are quite simply just giving teams absolute fits. Some of this stuff is so exotic where, they look like the play should be going to the right, but the play is actually coming back to the left. As I mentioned, you got a trap on the left, you got a trap on the right, and, you can hit it right up the middle, you can hit it right, you can hit it left. And I can understand why they are dominating in such fashion, in the run game. The Eagles ranked number one going into last week's game, averaging 181 yards. Certainly that number went up exponentially with Saquon Barkley going off for 255 yards on 26 carries and 2 rushing touchdowns of 70 and 71 yards. Wow. He is phenomenal. The offensive line is phenomenal. Jalen Hurts is in a position where he doesn't really have to do a whole lot, and I hear the commentary. I hear people's concern from time to time in their belief that Jalen is not the guy, that we may be held back by Jalen. But I think what you're seeing is a resurgence in the National Football League of the running game. And I like it because I think that the team who can run the football and the team who can stop the run the best is really going to be the team that's going to have success. And the teams that are being projected to be the last guys standing when it's all said and done, they all run the football. The Eagles run the football. The Ravens run the football. The Lions run the football. Kansas City, when they get in trouble, they run the football to reset and be able to put Patrick Mahomes in a situation where he can operate much more efficiently. The Pittsburgh Steelers run the football. So the running game, there's a renaissance, in my opinion, in the running game because for years, the NFL has created this mantra that it's a passing league, it's a quarterback's league. You got to pass the ball in order to win. I'm not saying that you got to become a strictly run-oriented football team, But I do believe that, the team that can run the ball most efficiently, more likely, is going to be the team that can throw the ball more efficiently. If you just look at last night's Monday Night Football game, you know, the LA Chargers started off running the ball well, but after a while, against that number one ranked Baltimore Ravens defense, they had a tough time running the football. I mean, the Ravens are ranked number one across the board as far as the run is concerned. They're only giving up 77 yards per game. That's going to be something to watch. That's going to be a challenge for the Eagles next week. But Justin Herbert really struggled when put in a position of having to throw the ball on a consistent basis all game. And conversely, Derrick Henry had 100 yards. Hill had a good day, had that long 50-something yard run. And conversely, Lamar Jackson threw the ball pretty darn efficiently. So when I look at where the league is heading, and when I look at, the teams that are, marked to be the last ones standing, so to speak, those are teams that are running the football most efficiently. And, we can complain and talk about the lack of passing production from Jalen Hurts all we want. But I think at the end of the day, when it comes time for him to have to put the ball in the air, he's going to be able to do just that. I mean, if you just – this is a stat that I want to throw out to the people that believe that Jalen's inefficient. Coming out of the bye, what did I say? I said, I think the thing that the Eagles need to do, and dare I say, you take a franchise quarterback that's making $51 million, the Giants didn't want to do it. You heard their GM. Well, we don't want to have our $40 million quarterback turn around handing the ball off, to our, $12 million, running back. Well, that blew up in their face, I would say. That quarterback is no longer there, and their running back is down here making history on our team. I say all of that because, Jalen struggled through the first 4 games. He had a good game, I believe, against Cleveland. I think he threw for 270-something yards. Let me go back and confirm that for you. I don't like to throw out bad stats, but I believe it was that game. He had 236 yards. He was 16 for 20 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Let me see. I believe it was the Browns. No, he did. He was 16 of 25 for 264 yards against the Browns. Jalen is averaging right under 200 yards per game passing the ball. But over the previous, leading into last week's game, he was averaging 21 passing attempts per game. He had 21 in last week's game. He completed 17 of them for 164 yards. He lost some yards on sacks, but A.J. Brown had 108 yards on 6 receptions for a touchdown. That's efficient football. But just think about it. If you're only going to ask your quarterback, to throw the ball 21 times, and then he's completing on average 16 of those 21 passing attempts, guess what? That's 70%. What can you complain about? He is doing what the coaching staff is asking him to do, okay? At a high percentage. 11 yards per reception is what he was averaging coming into last week's game. That's pretty damn good. And he was averaging right around, 2 touchdowns a game. So for those who believe that he can't get it done, I give you those stats to kind of chew on because he is operating in the most efficient of ways. And I don't think that there's anything to worry about. I believe that the running game is going to set them up in a way. Listen, the offensive line are mauling people. They're mauling people, okay? When you're averaging damn near 195 yards per game rushing, which the Eagles are probably averaging after, 198 on 191 going into last week and then racking up 314 last week, they're probably right around 190, 195 is what they're averaging. When you can do that, when it comes time to pass the ball, you're going to get whatever you want. The playbook is going to be wide open. So that worry that everybody has about whether Jalen can be efficient or not, listen, he's already efficient. His numbers are pretty darn similar to what they were last year, minus the turnovers, okay? 2 turnovers in the last 7 games, and both of them came in the same game. One came on a sack against the Cowboys. got caught up. Michael Parsons came up the middle, shocked him, knocked the ball out of his hands, and then the interception to Trayvon Diggs. You guys heard me say I chalk that up more to Trayvon Diggs making a hell of a play than I do Jalen Hurts actually making a bad throw. It was actually a good throw. Trayvon Diggs just made a hell of a play, and you got to give him credit for being able to do that. So the offense is going to be fine. And I think that they're just going to get better and better. The offensive line is getting more confident. They're more confident in Saquon that at any time that he can just, bust one and take it to the house. Every single time he touches it, there's a possibility of that happening. And when you bring that kind of threat to your offense, it's only going to make your passing game better when the time comes that you have to put the ball in the air. I just want to talk about the defense right quick because I didn't see this coming. You go from one of the worst defenses in the National Football League and not turning the ball over, being last in the National Football League in turnovers, to in the last 7 weeks, the Eagles now going into the Rams game, they rank first in total yards. They were only giving up 173 yards per game. Now they finished giving up a total of 290 against the Rams. What was it? 92 yards rushing, but guess what? They only gave up 25 yards in the second half. Then you turn around and they are seventh. So they were second last week against the run. They're probably first. No, they're probably still second because Baltimore is only giving up 77 yards. But they were second against the pass, only giving up 173 yards per game. And 5 sacks last week. The Eagles had 33 sacks, and I would venture to say that the way that Jalen Carter is playing, he's probably responsible in some way, some fashion or form for probably half of those because he's so dominant that he's opening up other areas of the pass rush for other guys to eat off of his carnage. I mean, he is absolutely destroying people. And while he's not getting the numbers, and I feel for him because I think the notoriety would be greater if he could get to maybe 8, 9 sacks, maybe 10 sacks, then he's going to be an automatic Pro Bowler this year. But he is playing at such a high level in the pass and the run game that, he's a force to be reckoned with. His double team rate is higher than any other tackle in the National Football League. I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to see. Trying to get the numbers. I should have had this stuff, locked in. But I think of something like the 36 passes that Matthew Stafford threw, 36, I should say. I think that Jalen Carter was doubled on 33 of those passes. I mean, you talk about, a dominant situation. This guy is just, on such a tear right now, and it's a shame that, statistically it's not showing it. But going back to Vic Fangio and what he's been able to do with this group of young players, it's just phenomenal. Phenomenal when you stop and think about it. And to be honest with you, I think that they're just scratching the surface of how good they can be. Now, the loss of Brandon Graham is going to be a big loss, but somebody else is going to have to step up. But just thinking about where they were and where they are now, and the fact that, Vic is doing some different things schematically, at this time of the year when you can begin to show teams different things, where you can show them one thing and then show them something new, sometimes that's going to be the difference between them being able to continue to dominate, and sometimes it could be the difference between you winning and losing a game where a team thinks that, a tendency is going to be one thing and you show them that that's what you're giving them, but you actually give them something different. That's huge. The young players are getting more confident in what they're being asked to do. That means that he's going to be more confident to add more to the package, which means that, they're playing at a higher level, they're tackling better, they're creating turnovers. They're one of the top teams, in the red zone. They're in the top 5. They're number 5 in the National Football League going in the last week in red zone at 46%. For a young defense, I can't express to you guys how monumental that is, where they are and what they're doing. And I like the trajectory that they're on. They got two of their biggest tests coming up here in the next, 2 out of 3 weeks, playing very physical teams like the Baltimore Ravens, and then they got the Carolina Panthers at home, and then, they got the Steelers, here at the Link as well. That's going to be a physical game because those two teams play like the Eagles play. They run, and they play the run well, okay? The big caveat for the Eagles is that the Baltimore Ravens pass defense is ranked 31st in the National Football League. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore kind of what their attack is going to be, going against one of the most stout defensive fronts against the run, but also knowing that, you got one of the worst pass defenses in the National Football League and that there's some hay that can be made there. I hope they don't get too pass happy. They haven't done it so far. Like, I was amazed in the first half. I think Saquon Barkley only had he had 73 yards in the first half. That's still pretty good, but he had some runs that didn't seem to go anywhere. But the Eagles stuck to it. They were committed to the run, and they kept hammering and kept hammering and kept hammering until they finally wore the Rams down, and Saquon rips off the first play of the second half for 70 yards. And then they turn around and they come back, and, a couple of series later, Saquon rips off a 72-yarder. So that commitment to the run game is monumental for me, and I'm just curious to see how the Eagles are going to approach that, against the Baltimore Ravens, realizing that they're such a bad team against the pass. The Eagles are going to have their work cut out for them on the defensive side of the ball because Derrick Henry is formidable, trying to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket in passing situations is going to be a chore. They're going to be disciplined in their rush lanes, not getting too high above him. Make him throw from the pocket. I think that there's some interceptions to be had against Lamar Jackson because he throws a lot of deep balls that are 50-50 balls that if defenders would turn around and play the ball, they would be interceptions. The long touchdown that he threw to Bateman, the pass interference, and the guy caught it in the end zone last night. If the guy just turns around and says interception, it's a poorly thrown ball. But he throws a lot of balls up with trust that his guys are either going to make the reception or, turn it to the defender and knock the ball away. Against a guy like Quinyon Mitchell, he may get his first interception this week because Lamar Jackson will put it out there. All right? So I got my man Quick. He's ready, but I think I'm gonna go to a break right quick. Let's go to a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll jump in. Me and Mike will chop it up, for the remainder of the show. Be back in a sec.
It's happening again. Those missed tackles are starting to stack up. Your friends pleading with players who can't hear them. Sweating it out week after week. But not you. Why? Because whether they score or not, there's always another way to win on the BetParx app. New casino users score up to $1,000 bonus back in their first 24 hours.
At Pawnlee Hockey, we're neither a pawn nor a hockey team. In fact, I don't even know how to skate.
Cut.
We're the injury law firm that you want fighting for you.
With our vast network of attorneys across the country, we know the playbook on injury law.
It's how Pawnlee Hockey recovered billions of dollars for more than 100,000 injured and disabled workers.
And we know we can do the same for you.
So give Pawnlee Hockey a call. No other law firm will fight harder for you.
And you'll never pay a dime until we win.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family-owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Design through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come, join our team.
Welcome back. Right now, I'm just going to bring in my man, Mike Quick. You guys know him as Quick Six. What's happening, man?
What's going on with you, Hammer?
Hey, man, just chopping it up, talking about these birds, man. So impressed with what I'm seeing. I've been hearing a little bit of the broadcast, when they play the Merrill montage, on Monday on WIP, man. You guys seem like y'all having just as much fun in the booth as the guys are down on the field, man.
Man, you know how it is. When they're playing well, it's hard not to just enjoy it, especially for me. I've been here from forever, since 1982. And so, when things are rolling well for this team, I'm enjoying it. I think we're a good football team. I think they've done a lot of, they've done a lot of really cool things to make sure that it's sustainable. It's not just like you're hot and you can, they're doing things that you can take on the road. They're really good playing defense, and defensive travel, and they run the ball extremely well. Many people thought that running the ball was going to be a lost art, but with what the Eagles are doing, and then this team that they're going to face on Sunday that we saw last night, Baltimore, hey, man, it's getting back to like what I really like to see, a real physical style of ball.
Well, two things, because, we know that Jeffrey Lurie and Howard Roseman want to be a passing team.
Yeah, sure.
And when you sign a franchise quarterback, you want him to be the focal point. But Saquon is such a unique, player.
Yeah.
That, them listening to Lane and Dickerson and Mailata going into the bye about, how we need to run the football and lean on this guy. This is a part of the Philadelphia Eagles that I never thought I'd see again, because the analytics say to pass the ball. You pass early to get a lead, and then you run late. But I'm seeing such a commitment to the run, Mike, early in the game. Like, they're not waiting to the second half. Yeah. They're running the ball early and often, trying to set the tone from the beginning. And then the other thing is, I was watching some film last week. I had a breakdown, for my viewers tonight, but I forgot the draw up. Man, Jeff Stoutland is a genius, man. I mean, some of the blocking schemes that he has, I'm watching it, and I'm looking at it. They got one play where they got a double trap, a trap on the left and a trap on the right. And I'm like, I've never seen that before. And the way that they run it to perfection. Every single time that they run it, the guys that are supposed to be blocked, they don't miss them. They get them blocked. And they've got some exotic blocking schemes that if you're a linebacker and you're true to your reads, you don't know where the hell to go.
You don't know what they're doing. So you know what? Think about this: how difficult it is to move a man who's 320 pounds, who's 330 or 40 pounds, and so you have to be creative. And I think that's one of the strengths that Jeff Stoutland brings to the party, is that how creative he is in his blocking schemes. You see a lot of really advantageous angles in the way they block. A lot of these traps that they run, a lot of even the zone type of plays that they run, they make sure that they can get on one side or another of that defender and push that defender. And if you get him on a side rather than just getting a guy straight head on all the time, you got a much better chance of pushing that guy, moving that guy when you're trying to move him laterally. So the blocking angles and all of that is so key to what they do. And I think they do a really nice job of mixing things up, and you don't know which way things are coming from. And when you have those defenders that are so good at rushing up the field, okay, now we're going to ear hold them. We're going to trap them, or we're going to wham block them with the tight end and hit them in the ear hole and move people that way. So a lot of really cool stuff that they do.
It really is, man. I mean, I'm really impressed by what I see, and just the execution. It's one thing to draw something up.
Yeah.
It's another thing. It's one thing to, think that, you can accomplish something. It's another thing to see what you put together and see it actually being executed. Yeah. And the way that these guys are blocking, man, I mean, that interior three, like we know what we got on the edges,
Sure.
them two horses on the edge, we know what we have there. But the way those three guys are playing on the interior, I mean, those double team blocks sometimes, it's like if the linebacker don't come downhill right now, they have no shot because they're getting movement. And a lot of teams, what they'll do is they'll get on that double team and the guy get off too early before this guy gets face up on the tackle.
Yep.
They stay.
Yep.
They stay long enough for him to peel off. And by the time he peels off, it's too late. Saquon's hitting the hole. He's got two big butts. And all he got to do is just run off the butts, man. It's really, if you really enjoy analyzing and breaking down football, watching these guys, these five guys, and the tight ends. Because you know what? Listen,
that's right.
Grant Calcaterra is supposed to be the receiving tight end.
He's been
but
great.
He's been blocking his ass off.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert always blocks his ass off. But when you look at, and when they go 12 personnel and they got 7 guys in the box, it's a problem, man.
Yeah. It's fun to watch. I guess the guy that so all of these guys I knew could do what they're doing. I didn't know Mekhi Becton until he came to Philly this year. I knew the name. But just to see him and the way he's moving people, I'm just completely blown away because I know he came into the league as a tackle, and he's played tackle all of his career until now. They move him to guard, and the attitude that he brings, the physicality that he brings, it's hard to match it. And when Jordan Mailata came back, Jordan Mailata makes a big difference. Jordan Mailata, that dude is like. Look, I got all older brothers. When I went to the park, I knew I'd have to worry about anything because my older brothers were there. My lot is that dude, when he's on the field, you already know that, hey, big dude's here. We can get we're going to get it in. We can do whatever we need to do. He's got our back.
I want to talk about Mekhi Becton because, this is the second time.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mailata is the first. You draft him in the 7th round. You take the requisite years to get him up to speed, and now you got a Pro Bowl left tackle. Mekhi Becton, a guy that was on his way out of the National Football League, to have the wherewithal to take him and say, we're going to move him to guard.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden be able to exert so much positivity and so much confidence in him, that, when he left the Jets, Mike, he had to have zero confidence whatsoever.
Yeah.
Everybody in New York told him what a piece of what he was. And all of a sudden he comes down here, and not only does Jeff Stoutland create a guard out of a tackle, a guy who's played tackle his entire career, but he changed his entire mindset. That proves to me how much of a psychologist sometimes coaches need to be in order for their players to be the best that they can possibly be. I think that's understated in a lot of ways.
So I think there's some sports that coaching is important, and then there are other sports where you don't have success without good coaching. And this is that sport. If you don't have good coaching in the National Football League, you're just not going to have success. That's just the reality of it. Jeff Stoutland is as good as it gets. And these guys love playing for him. You talk about the coordination with all these combo blocks and such. It's because Stoutland drills these guys and all the time, and they really understand what he wants out of them. They know how to get it done the way he wants it done, and he knows how to teach that. He knows how to get them the mind that they need to get done what he wants. And if it's not right, he's funny to listen to in practice and screaming. It's like old school coaching, and he'll coach him up hard, and then he'll love him at the same time.
There you go.
Those big dudes, they love Stoutland because they know Stoutland is going to have them ready, and he's going to make you the best possible player that you could be. So Becton, he's having a blast right now. We haven't even talked about Saquon yet, but you're talking about what really matters in this offense and the strength of this offense. Yeah, Saquon is in a place he's never been before. He's in the best place he's ever been in the National Football League. Many times you watch this offensive line move people, and he's not touched until he gets, down the field.
Yeah, second, third level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to stay on the coach for a while because, there's some chatter about, whether the Eagles should go ahead and re-up Nick Sirianni. And there's also some chatter that's like, hey, Howie's giving him such a great roster. How does he mess it up? Like I'm not close enough to the situation, Mike, like you are. You're probably around the team almost on a daily basis. What does Nick Sirianni bring to the table? Because obviously his players respect the hell out of him. You know, we saw
Yeah.
some things early in the year that kind of rubbed us the wrong way. You know, in the past, Sunday night, when they scored, right before the half, I'm thinking, oh, he's about to go for two here, and he kicks the field goal. And I'm like, if there ever was a time he should have went for two, go for two there to go up 7 instead of 6. But he holds serve, and he holds his composure.
Yeah.
And some people have said that the Eagles have won in spite of him, and some people have said that his roster is so good that he couldn't screw it up. You've been around him. You know how his players feel about him, more than I do. Just talk about Nick Sirianni and how his team feels about him as a head coach.
Well, I don't think that even with the talent, and when you say that people think that he can't screw it up, I think a coach could. If a coach didn't handle this roster the right way, I think a coach really could. And you say a lot when you say the players respect him, and they really do. And I think to a man, they have a lot of respect for him. I like the fact that he will coach everybody and coach them hard. And not only that, Seth, even the coaches, the assistant coaches, if they're not correct, this guy has no problem with stepping to them and getting right in their face and letting them know what he wants out of them. I like that. There's a lot of things that I like in Nick Sirianni. Is he going to be a perfect coach, make all the right decisions? I don't think he will. But I also look at this. He's a really young coach in the National Football League that has a lot of good stuff going. It's hard to find good coaches in this league. Let's start with that. But then when you see all that he has, the fact that players really like him, he has a really good way of connecting with these players. They understand him. He understands them. He brings a lot to the party in my mind. And each and every week, he's trying to touch the right buttons. He comes up with a whole lot of clever ideas, clever, this is our mantra of the week. This is our thing of the week. And there are things that make a lot of sense to me. And evidently they make a lot of sense to these players because they are responding to it. You'll hear players repeat things that he said in their team meetings because it's their message for that week. That to me, that's coaching at the head coaching level, and holding your coordinators as well as your position coaches accountable, holding players accountable. All of that stuff to me is head coaching and at its finest. Like I said, I believe that he's a young coach that's going to continue to learn and grow in this league, and it's hard to find what he has, the intangibles that he has already.
All right, so the 6,000-pound gorilla in the room, Saquon Barkley, man. It's just,
yeah.
He's got to feel like he's died and gone to heaven to begin with. That's the first thing. The second thing is he's just on another level as far as any other running back in the National Football League. Now, you could talk about Derrick Henry, and what Derrick does is impressive because he's 6'4", 247 pounds. I get that, okay? But he ain't giving you the shift that Saquon is going to. He's not going to make the first guy miss.
No.
He's the type of guy, he's a one-cut guy, and once he sticks his foot in the ground, if you ain't got somebody in front of him, he can take it to the house because once he gets out in the open space, you're not going to run him down. Saquon has all of that and more.
Yeah.
From the standpoint of his patience, waiting for blocks to get set up, knowing where, on that, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember which touchdown it was, but I want to say it was the second one when Britton Covey got that block. He kind of set the
right side.
Yes.
Yeah.
He set the safety up. Nobody's giving Britton Covey no love for that, but that was a hell of a block because the way Saquon set him up, not only did he block his guy, but he got a piece of the other guy.
Yeah.
But his ability to understand where his help is coming from, where his blocks are coming from, and his ability to set guys up ahead of time so that he can make these moves that we haven't seen since a guy like Barry Sanders. I think that he's a Barry Sanders /
Woo.
I mean, listen, He's got those qualities, Mike. I'm trying to figure out the other half of it because he's not just Barry Sanders, because Barry couldn't run away from people the way that Saquon runs away from people. Now Barry can make you miss. He can make you. It's a good thing they didn't have the top 10 on ESPN back in the day, because I think I might have wound up on it, trying to tackle Barry. But he's got that element to his game. But he's also got the power where he can put his shoulder down and run through you. But he's also got that element too, where once he breaks the line of scrimmage, ain't nobody going to get him. It's a wrap.
Yeah. He's just so much fun, man. He's unique. We haven't seen anything like it. He's unique. Who in the world have you ever seen jump over somebody backwards? I've seen now they got it on T-shirts, they got memes, they got all sorts of stuff now. Saquon hurdling somebody backwards. That's just crazy to me. But so he has all the stuff. I think Jamal Singleton, the running backs coach, I think he has really helped Saquon. First of all, to understand what he has in front of him with this offensive line, especially early in the game, you're going to see plays that don't really break. But he trusts these guys now because Jamal has owned him so much about trusting. You got to press that hole. You're going to take your time and you're slow too, and you burst through when you see the opening. But you have to trust that these guys are going to get it done. Early in the game, you'll see somewhere it doesn't really happen. The dam doesn't break, but he presses that hole and he keeps pressing the hole. And then you see things start to break and you see how much fun it is. You're right. He can run around people. He has that amazing jump cut. We saw in the game in New York against the Giants, he decided he wanted to put his shoulder down and put a guy on his back. He can do that. And then when he gets in the open
stiff
field,
arm too the other night.
Yeah.
Stiff arm on the linebacker.
When he gets in the open field, you can't touch him in the open field. And then when it's a foot race, you're not going to win the foot race against Saquon Barkley. He's amazing to me. We haven't had this. You're right. He can move. He can make you a miss like Barry Sanders. He can run you over like Earl Campbell, and then he can outrun you.
Yeah, I tell you, man, he's such a joy to watch, and especially, being old school like we are, to be able to see the emergence of the run game too.
And a good dude.
But, listen, the other element about him, quick, is that, he's such a good dude, such a good teammate. Like, you go back to the Giants game.
Yeah.
Hey, you're right on the cusp of your record. You want to get your – no, let the young guys in, And then when Kenny Gainwell, gets his 13-yard touchdown, who was our first guy in the end zone celebrating with him?
Yeah.
You don't have teammates like that.
Yeah.
The dude is happy for other guys, for everybody else to eat, and he's the main one setting the table. But he's still got enough humility about himself, and he's such a good teammate that he wants to see everybody else succeed and everybody else have success. It's just, I don't know what planet he's from when you really stop to think about it, because you just don't see players like that, man.
Yeah, and I think it helps other guys. It helps, say, A.J. Brown. So that A.J., there are going to be days when you don't get the ball. And you watch how Saquon conducts himself. Skinny Batman, you're going to have your days. There are going to be days that you don't. And everyone sees how this guy, I think he's the best player on the team right now. And if everyone sees how unselfish he is, how dedicated he is to what he does, you can't have enough guys like that on your team. You just can't have enough guys, or enough guys who are looking at that and aspire to that. You can't have enough of those guys on your team.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what, I think he's elevated, Kenny Gainwell's game.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I think Kenny is averaging over 5 yards a carry himself. The last game, the previous game, I think he had like 4 carries for 46 yards.
Yep.
And then this game, he only had 4 for 22, but he rips off the 13-yarder for the touchdown. I think that's necessary. I think, the more that Kenny Gainwell can develop, then we can get that 1-2 punch like Detroit has that 1-2 punch where, Saquon will soften him up, and then you come in with the fresh legs, kind of like the thunder and lightning, and then you put him in. You can give Saquon a breather. and you really don't lose anything. You know, obviously he's not going to do some of the special things that Saquon does, but after you've softened up the defensive line, there's still room there for him to eat as well. That's pivotal in my opinion.
I've always liked Kenny Gainwell. He plays bigger than he is. He's a really good football player, and he can do it all. I've seen him get run over by a charging linebacker trying to pick up pass protection, but he's not going to shy away from it. He's going to put his nose in there, and if a man like overtakes him, okay, you got me that time. And sometimes that's going to happen. These guys are big, strong, fast guys. Every now and then, yeah, you're going to lose one to a linebacker, but to have a guy that will stick his nose in there every time without hesitating, without being shy at all, I'll take that guy. Now, sometimes the dog in the fight is not big enough for the fight, but when that dog has got a lot of fight in him, I'll take it.
All right, let's switch gears. I don't know if I left enough time, man, but we got to switch.
Man,
gears.
I was a little – listen, I'm not good with this technology. I was a little bit late, but I should have started this thing a whole lot sooner, but the technology threw me off.
It's all good. It's all good. Listen, I'm looking at my numbers. They're enjoying Mike Quick tonight. It's all good, man.
Very cool.
We got to switch gears because I got to go over on the defensive side of the ball because what Vic Fangio has been able to do. But I'd be remiss if we didn't spend a minute talking about BG and how heartbroken we are, for him. Because the other night might have been the best game I ever seen BG play, man.
Yeah.
15 years, in year 15.
Yeah.
And it's so sad, man, to see, the angst that he's going through.
Yeah.
Not being able to finish the deal. I know this potentially was going to be his last year. I've had conversations with him, and I said, man, listen, you really going to hang it up now? I'm like, you don't have to play the whole game no more. Why would you hang it up? And he told me, he was like, hey, listen, if they offer me a deal, I might consider coming back. We had that conversation back, in the summertime at mid-Penn. And to see this happen, I'm heartbroken for the dude. And I hope that he rehabs and he comes back next year because I think he probably got a good 2 years left in him if you stop and think about it. His first sack the other night came from inside. And I think that he's at a point in his career where a lot of guys with size that play on the outside, sometimes you can kick them down. Coordinators will move guys down in their NASCAR package at tackle. But I don't think that guards can block him with his strength and his quickness. I think that he would be a great defensive tackle in certain situations if he came back next year.
So, in your heart of hearts, do you think BG is done playing football?
No.
I don't.
No.
No.
I don't either.
So I was listening to Fangio even a few weeks ago, and the subject came up about BG. And just listening to Fangio talk, like he's saying, this is not the last ride for BG. So listening to that, I think already he has in mind, BG has in mind of coming back, and certainly Vic Fangio, if he's going to be the coordinator next year, he intends to see BG back. And it is heartbreaking to see that guy go out because everybody loves him. The guy can brighten the worst day. He's that dude, man. He could, no matter what you're dealing with, what you're going through, you come around that dude, and he's gonna make you feel better. He's just that positive.
So I'll say this. I was thinking about it, because even last year when they was in their slide every single week, oh, we gonna get it right this week. That's just BG. And I'm looking at him like, dude, y'all don't stand a snowball's chance in hell of getting it right. This thing is over. But week after week after week, every interview that he was in, he remained positive. And I started thinking about it just yesterday. I'm like, you know what? BG, when he first came here, went through so much crap, man.
Yes, he did.
The media beat him down. The average person would have folded like a Samsonite suitcase and would have been marked as he was a first-round bust. But BG just put his head down, stayed positive, went to work, and made himself an all-pro defensive end, made himself a hell of a player. He cemented himself in Philadelphia Eagles lore with that sack on Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
No question.
All times.
Yep.
And I just think that what he went through early in his career set the stage for the BG that we see and we love right now.
Yeah, I believe you're right. A lot of that will if you're able to come through it strong, then you're so much stronger on the other side. A lot of people can't handle it, but fortunately for BG, he could handle it, and he did it with a smile. I'm sure there were days that he didn't feel like the way we see him all the time, but that dude, when he comes out, yeah, he just brings joy, and he's just so much fun to be around. So I know he's not going to go away. He's going to be over at NovaCare all the time, encouraging these dudes, and whatever he can do, whatever part he can play, he'll be there, and he's going to do that. And I think about even Jason, the left tackle, Jason Peters. I remember at the tail end of his career when he got hurt, and he was like a coach all the time on the field, at games, when you come off the field, sometimes it helps to have someone who can tell you what they're seeing on the field, because there's so many things going on when you're in it. You don't always see everything, but you have a smart guy like a BG who's been in all these situations. If he's over on the sideline and he's telling these guys what he's seeing, what he's expecting, different down distance situations, that's helpful stuff. Because I remember the backup for me when I started playing, helping me that way. So I know that that's helpful stuff.
Well, here's my prediction. I before we get into Vic Fangio and what he's done, we got about 10 minutes left, or 8 minutes left. I predict that BG is going to help Nolan Smith go to the next level, because he's going to be able to watch him without having to worry about what he's got to do when he goes in the game. He's going to be able to watch him, teach him, coach him. Like that hand swipe he had on that sack off the edge. Listen, man, that was special, man.
Yeah.
That was special. And you can tell it was a reactionary thing. If Nolan Smith could add that to his repertoire, listen, he might get to double-digit sacks this year, man. I mean, because he's got the speed.
You know what?
But where he gets into problems is on his speed rush. A lot of times that tackle will get his hands on him. Well, what BG does is he slaps the hand down. Once he slaps the hand down, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
All he got to do is bend and cut the corner, So I think that he's going to help take Nolan Smith's game to a whole nother level, just not having to worry about what he's got to do when it's time for him to go in and get his reps. So let's jump over on Vic Fangio, and let's just chop up the last 7 minutes talking about what a miracle worker he's been. Taking a team over the first 7 games, it was one of the worst defenses in the National Football League, and turning them into, one of the top 3 defense in the National Football League in short order, with a bunch of young guys and a bunch of 2 unproven linebackers.
All right, where should I begin? Because there's a whole lot here.
Man, you got the stage, man. You take it where you want to take it.
So the first thing to me, I'll start with the MVP of the defense right now, which is Zach Bond. Mm-hmm. So no one saw this coming. Zach Bond, special teams player, played outside linebacker on the line. So Vic Fangio sees the talent, the athleticism that's in this guy's body, and he decides, hey, I think I can stand him up behind as a stack backer. And lo and behold, he's now one of the leading tacklers in the National Football League. He leads this defense in tackles. And then Nakobe Dean, he really has watched for 2 years, basically, because of the injury and, being a rookie behind some already proven veterans. He's just primed now. So now you've got 2 talented linebackers. And by the way, Nakobe Dean is smart as hell. Like really, really smart in terms of how to play that position and how to communicate everything on the back end. Really smart. And then you got these big guys in the trenches. Bottom line is Fangio knows what he has, and he knows how to work what he has. There's a lot of talk around the league about a Fangio system. Well, it's one thing to be taught the Fangio system. It's another thing to be Vic Fangio when you can take that system and make all the tweaks for a specific game plan, rather than trying to figure out what would Vic do in this situation. Now you've got Vic tweaking and taking away things like your ability to get the ball to your main target, clogging up your running lanes and making sure that his linebackers can flow to the football. All of those little things in the back of the defense, the way they communicate so well and passing their assignments off when a guy's out of their zone, passing it off to the next guy. Every now and then, yeah, you're going to see a mishap with communication on the back end, but boy, this defense looks so sound, and they don't give up big plays. They make teams work and work to get points, and it's a hallmark of a great defense.
I tell you, you know, the guy that continues to impress is Jalen Carter, man.
Unbelievable.
It's a shame that, you know, he doesn't get the stats because I think, you know, I think I saw a stat today that out of the 36 pass plays that that Matthew Stafford had the other night, they doubled him 33 of those pass plays.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but even at that, he's learned how to make, when you're around the game long enough, you begin to hear how coaches coach certain players, you know.
Yeah.
So I know the verbiage and the conversations that go on between coaches and players, you know, because I've been around so many good coaches my entire career. And double teams and runs and double teams, you know, if they get you on each shoulder, you're supposed to take a knee and split the double team. You know, that's old school stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that Jalen got worn down last year because, you know, he didn't really know how to deal with the double team. And the other thing I know about the double team, like if I'm in a 3 technique, let's say, and the tackle and the guard is going to block me. Now that B gap is my run gap.
Yep.
Okay. So in order for me to maintain that gap, and I'm getting double teamed, they're gonna push me off the ball. That's 600 pounds on 300 pounds. Okay. So, but if I destroy the guard, at some point that tackle's got to fall off. And I'm still in my C gap.
Yep.
Okay. Or my B gap. And what I'm seeing with him, no matter where they're playing, whether he's in a 3 or a 2 or a 1 eye, or a 2 eye, no matter where he is, when that double team comes, he is destroying that guy that's trying to prevent him from manning his gap. And even on passing situations, he knows where the double team is coming. And he's destroying one guy so that the other guy can't be a factor. And I was talking about it earlier, guys like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, those guys are the benefactors of his carnage because he's destroying so much that he's even knocking off the third guy, which is freeing up somebody else to make plays. What he's doing is phenomenal. And if he can get to 7, 8, maybe 9 sacks quick, he's going to the Pro Bowl this year.
He should go to Pro Bowl even if he doesn't get another sack. You're so on point with him. And he's going to be double teamed all the time. He has to understand that. And he does understand that at this point. But he's still able to affect plays. You know, he's still causing jams in the backfield where the running back's got to change his course. He's got a belly to run or something, and he's going to run into somebody else. Or they can't get to the line of scrimmage as quickly as they want to because of the log jam that he's created, and they got to change the course, and then somebody else is going to make the play. That's why Milton Williams got his sack the other night. That's why all these other guys are able to eat now. Even when he's not on the stat sheet, he's affecting the game in a major way. Many times just pushing the pocket back. So the quarterback now, he's got to move. He's going to run into somebody else or at least going to throw off the timing of his plays. And, yeah, there's so much that he does. And when you're, like, in their room, I know they appreciate what he's doing. If you don't really follow the game that closely, it's hard to appreciate. Even Jordan Davis sometimes. Jordan Davis, he's creating problems. In the run game, they create problems with the big bodies on people where you got to double team both of them. Now the linebackers can run. They can eat, and they're going to get all the stats. But if you don't have these big guys, this defense doesn't work the way it works. There's no way this defense works as efficiently as it works without those big guys who really we don't hear a whole lot about.
Right. Well, listen, man, I got a ton of other questions I want to ask you, but, you know, our time is up. We read on it, man. So
all right.
I'm going to let you go, man. I'm going to end right here, man. It's always a pleasure to chop it up with you.
Yeah, but listen, nobody talks the game better than you. I love talking to you about the game anytime. I'm always learning something, too.
All good, man. Listen, so, you know, this is my idea for a roundtable. You got to help me get, Hugh Douglas locked in.
Ooh.
Me, you, Ike, and Hugh, the whole hour one night. Now I know I can get Ike. Hugh has been a problem, so I got to figure out how to get Hugh right.
We'll work on Hugh. We'll work on him together.
All right, man. Hey,
All
listen, great to have you, man. I would tell you go hit him straight, but it's too cold out there.
Man, I'm
going home tomorrow, man. So I'm gonna get around there on Friday. So
well,
I don't know what it's gonna look like, but I'm gonna get around there.
Well, enjoy, man. I'm not playing. I'm gonna eat like crazy on Thursday, probably Friday too.
All right, man. Well, listen, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy
man.
Thanksgiving.
All right, appreciate it, brother. All right, folks, that's a wrap for the evening. Just can't wait till Sunday at 4:20 to see our Birds, take on their toughest test of the year. A lot more stuff I wanted to get to. Mike wanted to talk to him about, his prediction and how he sees this game with the Baltimore Ravens. But hey, listen, it is what it is. It's been great. Hey, listen, Philadelphia, I want to wish y'all a happy Thanksgiving, safe Thanksgiving. So much to be thankful and grateful for, so blessed. And as I sign off, as always, make sure you guys take care of each other and be good to one another. But most important, especially during this holiday season, love each other. All right? I'll see you guys right back here next week, same place, same time. Peace.
It's happening again. Those missed tackles are starting to stack up. Your friends pleading with players who can't hear them. Sweating it out week after week. But not you. Why? Because whether they score or not, there's always another way to win on the BetParx app. New casino users score up to $1,000 bonus back in their first 24 hours.
At Ponley Hockey, we're neither a pawn nor a hockey team. In fact, I don't even know how to skate.
Cut.
We're the injury law firm that you want fighting for you.
With our vast network of attorneys across the country, we know the playbook on injury law.
It's how Pond Lee Hockey recovered billions of dollars for more than 100,000 injured and disabled workers.
And we know we can do the same for you.
So give Pond Lee Hockey a call. No other law firm will fight harder for you.
And you'll never pay a dime until we win.
It's the most wonderful with the kids jingle. Be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful.
Whether your phone's broken or old, we've got you. With Verizon, anyone can trade in any phone, any condition. And get iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. And iPad and Apple Watch Series 10, all three on us. That's up to $2,000 in value, only on Verizon.
Hello?
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer and displays. We're family owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come join our team.